Video game music. You have ears, right? These things? If not, good luck watching the rest of this video. What I've noticed most about the current YouTube landscape is that people often use music from video games all the time. For background music in videos and streams, and for outros and video essays. It's one aspect of video games that I think is overlooked. When you look back at a game from your childhood, you'll remember the graphics and the main menus, but right along with it, you'll probably remember the music. Personally, for me, Crash Nitro Kart was a childhood classic, and whenever I turn on my PS2 now, the main theme menu just starts and I go doom doo doo doom doo 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 doo. Doom 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 doom. Most of video games' most iconic music comes from legendary franchises. Mario has the... Zelda has the... Sonic has the... Bubsy has... Wait, no, ignore Bubsy. Music from games has forever been something I've been obsessed with. I made an entire half-an-hour video ranking all the Cuphead tracks because I am original, and also because I was obsessed with the game's music. And I think no matter who you are, you like video game music too. You maybe just don't know it yet. Firstly, I have zero musical knowledge. I don't know what an arpeggio is, I don't know what any of these notes do, so I won't be giving a deep and detailed explanation as to why the music psychologically just really gets to you. Instead, I'll just be saying why music in video games is just genuinely likable. Instead, I'll just be saying why music in video games is very good. First off, when you're playing through a video game, you probably don't recognize the music at first. Mario Bros, for example. There's so much going on the screen visually. I find it's not until after I put the game down or I'm on another level that I start humming a part of the theme from the game. The more and more I play, the more I start listening to the music. Of course, this is a Mario game. Mario games have very bouncy and happy tunes. Surely there's no threatening music in Mario. I think one of the biggest strengths of a video game soundtrack is their ability to change a mood whenever you or the game feels like it. Grand Theft Auto, there's no real music in the free roam aside from the radio, but if you do a little crime, your wanted level will show up, and to add to the stress, the music will too. This music gradually shows up out of nowhere, but then the more crimes you commit, the louder and angrier the music gets. It's a brilliant way of audibly showcasing how you're now in a movie-like situation. The music only goes away when you die or when the police lose you. It adds stress to the player, and I think that's very important in a GTA game. Really, in any game. In another Rockstar game, Red Dead Redemption 2, it works quite similar, only in yeehaw times, you didn't have a radio on your horse, so sometimes the protagonist, Arthur Morgan, can sing while riding his horse. Until my dying day. Aside from the music from the missions and the wanted level and the cities in the game, this is the real only music you can hear without shooting up a town or drowning a guy in a pond. But you know, we live our life. If you want to hear that music, you can do it if you want. Indie games have very iconic music, and when I say indie games, I mean this is the Toby Fox part of the video. One man who is known for his music in his games, Toby Fox, creator of Sans. His music is known in all corners of the internet. Undertale has some iconic music, and his follow-up game Deltarune is exactly the same. Most of his music is really chiptune and old-school type of stuff, so it perfectly suits the pixel art style of his games. One thing I love about Toby Fox's music though is how repetitive it is, and that's not a bad thing. There's a video on YouTube that shows how a lot of Undertale's soundtrack is just the same couple of tunes, but altered in a way that makes them suit for the situation. This doesn't make his music lazy. He is not lazy, he's a hard-working dog. It's actually very smart, because I never noticed any of this when I first listened to the soundtrack or played the game. Minecraft has possibly the most calming soundtrack a game could have, especially because it's such a flexible game in the first place. You could build a city or fight a bunch of monsters or go on an adventure with friends, and somehow the Minecraft soundtrack still captures all of those adventures at every moment. With no tune written for a particular moment or anything, this is very impressive. We got other indie games like Shovel Knight, Hollow Knight, Cuphead, Celeste, Spelunky, and Stardew Valley. They all have extremely good original soundtrack. When it comes to AAA games, I don't see a lot of variation in the music. Very few tracks really stay stuck in your head. Indie games really have gotten that reputation of exceptional music, and it's fully deserved. Now this one's gonna sound weird. Untitled Goose Game. Yes, this was a funny game, a very enjoyable experience. It truly was the first Goose-type game. Its physical comedy was very good and the game was designed very well, but once again, this game uses music in the best way possible. Much like my Rockstar examples from earlier, Goose Game uses music only in events that get intense. Only this time, instead of loud, intimidating spy music, I guess you can call it silly goose music. This isn't original music, it's classical music adapted from Claude Debussy's Preludes. I hope I said his name right. I know he's French. I think it's a very good choice because it really emulates that Tom and Jerry or Looney Tunes style of tomfoolery. Those shows used classical music while being slapstick comedies. That's exactly what this game does as well. When you run as Goose, the music picks up and you really feel like a goose running for their life. On the odd occasion, a song from a game has lyrics. The most famous of these, in my opinion, is the Sega games, especially Sonic. Since Sonic has always had that awesome sauce wazop edge to him, Sega often get bands like Crush 40 to do some music. I think it really works in games like Sonic, where dialogue is minimal and action is heavy, most of the time. Sonic's music has always been very noticeable, from rock bands to the heavy orchestrals in Sonic 06, to dubstep in the more recent games. Big Yoshi music. Games like Yoshi's Island, Kirby, Animal Crossing, and even Mario look like sugar and cotton candy. Their visuals are always bright and bubbly. It's like looking at Super Weenie Hut Jr. And the music is rather similar to this art style. This is why when you see Nintendo music to make you feel good or Nintendo music that fills an empty head, you get tons of these cutesy music tracks inside them. These tracks are great to have in these games, but you know that the boss music is going to be super good as well. Nintendo seems to have mastered that cute but threatening enemy music, because when a Yoshi game starts like this and ends sounding like this, you know you made a good soundtrack. Now we're getting into the good stuff. Boss themes. They are a staple of video games. This is the music you fear because the final boss is the one you'll be taking your longest time on. Villains like Bowser, Sephiroth, King K. Rool, Dr. Cortex, Dr. Eggman, you know if you don't find the battle tough, at least you won't find the music tough to listen to either. Bowser, I think you might know him, has flip-flopped between intimidating and pure jazz vibes throughout his life. His taste in music is vast, and I respect him for that. Video game music very rarely disappoints as well. If you look up a game, I guarantee you will find at least one track that is well liked. Believe me, some of these games have no right having such good music. You might be saying, well, what about Wario Land Shaken? Okay, well, what about Toy Story 2? The game. Well, what about Wild Gun? Monkey Island. Does Monkey Island have a good soundtrack? I didn't even know that was a game. It really goes to show that no matter how successful or popular a game series is, or how high its budget is, or how popular the musicians are, the people behind the music will put blood, sweat and tears into their soundtrack. The final reason as to why I think music is so magical in games is because when you take everything away from a game, its story, its locations, its characters, you take everything away from a game. But if you leave the music, and only the music, and you listen close enough, you can put the story, those characters, those places, those images, all back together again.